85 years old and buying his first home. Sounds really cool that somebody that old could be buying a 30-year mortgage house, but it actually is something that we helped a VA buyer do earlier this year. Let me take you back to the story. So I did not create this particular problem. It was a solution we were able to fix, but because of my reputation in this city, I know lots of real estate agents. The listing agent knew that I could be very knowledgeable on a VA loan. So he had a property where the file was being terminated because the other well-known VA lender in town wasn't able to get the deal across the finish line. So I decided to have a conversation with this older man. 85-year-old buyers, they are special. You know, they come from a different land and time almost. These people have done things that are very difficult for us, for me and for you and for our country that I don't think enough people really appreciate. That it's talking to a time machine, you know, that this person who's 85 years old was born so long ago. They've seen so many things, like they've earned the right to be able to have a little bit more time and things explained to them. So they were being denied by this other lender because there was a late payment on the credit report in his wife's name. And it is true that VA says that, hey, if for acceptable credit, you can't have any lates on any debts within the last 12 months. That is the rule. But for the right reason, I believe you will never be wrong for making the right decision. And what I mean by that is, like, from time to time, I will break the rules on purpose because I believe I can defend myself when I'm asked in mortgage court why I chose to do what I did. So I spoke to him. He was very passionate about the denial and how this was wrong and how it's not fair. And I agreed with him and I listened to him because I wanted to have empathy for what he was going through, trying to buy his first house and not being explained things very well. Spent earnest money that he's going to lose, you know, spent option money. Like, he was out expenses and nobody was really explaining what the issue was. So apparently his wife had signed up for a credit card, which a lot of people do when they buy something, not realizing that the initial membership fee was like $400 and it was due as soon as you got the card. It went 30 days late. You know, the very first month, it was 30 days past due. It lowered her credit score. And as soon as they found out about it, he brought the account current and actually paid it off. And so it was a whoopsie, didn't mean to, it's not likely to happen again sort of situation. When I looked at their credit, he had 800 credit scores. He had perfect credit. He's paid his bills on time. She had perfect credit, except for this one blemish. VA will allow you to make a decision to help the VA buyer if it's in their best interest, right? If you are giving a benefit to the VA buyer. So this was isolated to one account. It was not likely to happen again because the account had closed. So that was enough for me to get around the fact of the credit. So I went ahead and told the listing agent, hey, I can get around the credit, shouldn't be a problem, we're good to go. Didn't realize that the income for my VA buyer was gonna be super tricky in order to be able to verify. Actually, my buyer and my co-borrower. So VA will time to time place people as somebody's caregiver, right? Or caretaker. Somebody that can help the VA person with their day-to-day things, you know, shopping, bathing, around the house, stuff like that. And so VA had actually assigned his wife as his caretaker. And so she basically was his hourly employee. And in fact, he was the employer. So there are companies that have contracts with different state agencies where they have people that they provide in order to do the service that VA wants. And so my VA buyer had his retirement income and his VA benefits, and my co-borrower, she had a job and she was the caretaker for her husband, or essentially the VA borrower. I needed to verify her employment just like I would everybody else. I need pay stubs. I need W-2s. I need verification of employment. All those things would have to come from my borrower. He's 85 years old. He doesn't really text. He doesn't know how to use email. He can barely, you know, talk on the phone. It's just, he was not gonna be able to get me the information that I need. Make it one step harder, they had just switched companies. The contract had changed. So his caseworker that he was giving me information to in order to try to help, that was the caseworker for the prior company, the prior payroll company. So through calling and finding out who they sent the contract to, who they transitioned to, the new company, got the new caseworker, finally tracked them all down. Long story short, we were able to get the verifications we needed. We were able to get the pay stubs and the W-2s from the prior employer and the current employer, the payroll companies, able to validate his income. That was a chore. You know, I had never seen that before. 25 years in the mortgage business and I'm still learning things new where there's the little bitty nuances, things that you have to be aware of. So I initially said, yes, I can fix this deal that was dead on arrival. Turned out to be a lot harder than I thought to fix it, but had great communication with the listing agent, picked up a new buyer referral friend from that particular transaction. We were able to get closed. So just another great success story from the Comp Factor, where we were able to look at the whole picture, right? Don't just tell people no because you think it's no. Like, really understand the guidelines and flex your lending muscles, right? When you know the time is right. Because like I said, you'll never be wrong for making the right decision. As long as the VA loan is a benefit to the VA buyer, that VA lender can pretty much do whatever they need. The ratios were in line, we had reserves, and come to find out, we actually had an electronic approval on the file when we were all done. So the late payment wasn't an issue in the very first place. So if you'd like to learn more information about VA loans, and if you've got a loan that you're being told no to, give me a call. I'll put my cape on. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below, and I'll give you more VA information in the future.